kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, kaya sa sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa tinig mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka masisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng banggaw, ay hinatang tulakawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitinig. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya ng pagkay mag-amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Hi, I'm Beatrice D. Rodriguez, a third-year mass communication student taking up Bachelor of Arts in Broadcasting, and the current Mass Communication Society president, welcomes you to Web Talk, a campus journalism webinar series, a partnership with the Jose Rizal Memorial State University and the State Collegian, JRMSU's official student publication, and the Department of Mass Communication in Western Mindanao State University. Allow me to introduce our speaker for today. She's a senior revenue, marketing, and communications executive with proven success in developing and managing business projects and powerful campaigns that achieve sales, branding, public relations, sales, and marketing objectives for various organizations across diverse industries, both startup and established. She finished her master's degree in journalism at Asian Center of Journalism, Ateneo de Manila University, Philippines in 2013. Her areas of expertise are communication, sales and marketing, project management, performance management, customer satisfaction, strategic planning, business development, community relations, exceptional writing and editing skills, training and development, problem solving, decision making, negotiation, and persuasion. She's a former reporter at Sunstar Zamboanga from 1996 to 1997. Former segment producer at ABC TV 11 from 1997 to 1999. A projects officer, Office of the President, Ateneo de Zamboanga University from 1999 to 2005. She became a faculty member of Department of Mass Communication from 2005 to 2015. She's a former communication officer of Ateneo de Zamboanga University, Zamboanga City from 2014 to 2015. This results-oriented and decisive woman is presently working at West Metro Medical Center as the marketing manager, chief of staff, and the chief revenue officer. She's no other than Miss Monabelle Delgado.
Hi.
Hello, Ma'am Yen.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to make sure that I can be heard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
clearly.
okay, sige. Okay, very good. Good afternoon. This is Yen. Thanks very much for that very lovely introduction. I see that there are 26 participants right now. I'd like to say welcome to everybody who's already in this meeting. And I'd like to say hi to JR. I see JR and I see Kim. And I think I also see Ryan Miranda. So these are people that I used to know in a few for several years now. Okay, so let's, as I always like to do, I'd like to keep things as short as possible and to go directly to things as possible. So I'm gonna start. Before I start, makita ko lang ha, I just want to see in the chat, Can I see, if everyone can type, I'm just going to assume that everybody's using their own gadgets and people can type, ano? I would love it if people who are present already can type in the schools, their nicknames, and then the schools that they go to. Paki-type lang. So I can see where people are coming from and what I should be calling you. May I? May I make that request? Just type sa chat. I see Vera from St. Joe, Charity from JRMSU, Ayman from St. Joe, Matt from JRMSU, Sylvie from ADZU, Kai from WIMSU, Jaiser from JRMSU. Okay, Justine from WIMSU, Jovi, JRMSU, Rosabel, JRMSU, Guile, St. Joe, Erin, St. Joe, Rochelle, St. Joe, Nat WIMSU, Katie, St. Joe, Angelo, St. Joe, Rain, St. Joe, Gab, Adzu High School, Jana, St. Joe, Isa, Adzu, Kisi, JRMSU, Asher, Adzu, Ziri, St. Joe, Tin, Adzu Junior High, April, WIMSU, Rich, JRMSU, Gia, St. Joseph. I don't know if all those names make up 35, but hello, everyone. It's been so long since I've been with students, so it's really, really nice to be with students. Ang dami nyo pala at paiba-iba kayong school. All right, sige. Let me start already. Okay. As introduced, kung sinong papasok ha, and by the way, I hope walang purists sa audience natin. I'm going to be doing a lot of code switching. I'm going to be speaking in English, and I'm going to code switch to Tagalog from time to time for purposes of, clarity. At saka feeling ko mas relaxed if I do it that way. There's Carmina of JRMSU. So yung mga ibang humahabol, please feel free to introduce yourself and the name of the school that you go to. All right, sige. Okay. All right. Carmina from JRMSU. All right, sige. Okay. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Yen Delgado, as introduced earlier. So I will just assume that everyone's here because they want to learn about journalism. We only have a very, very short amount of time to be in this seminar. And the seminar is quite basic, as you can tell from the title. It's called Basic Newswriting. So I know that many of you here have a lot of reasons, have different reasons for wanting to learn basic news writing, but I'm just going to assume that some of you are involved in your school paper. Some of you have a lot of experience being in a school paper, and some of you don't have a lot of experience being in a school paper. I am going to assume also that some of you are actually school paper advisors. I don't know if there's anybody here who is taking up education and taking up campus journalism as a subject, as part of her core curriculum. So whatever your reason might be, let's all gather together and let's all try to learn sabay-sabay kung ano bang ibig sabihin ng basic news writing. As I have said, I'm Yen. Please call me Yen. Sa poster nakalagay yung totoo kong pangalan. Nobody calls me that anymore. I prefer people to call me Yen. I've been interested in journalism since I was a young girl. When I was 10, my sisters and I published a newspaper. I already forgot what stories we wrote in that newspaper or what the objectives of our newspaper was. I only remember that it was called Care Bears. Care Bears, as in Care Bears. If you still remember, there's a cartoon series by that name, Care Bears. It was only many, many years later that I learned bakit tinatawag namin siyang Care Bears. It was because my elder sister, Maita, who appointed herself our publisher as well as editor-in-chief, niloko niya kami. She probably told us Care Bears meant we were journalists who wrote stories out of concern or care for our readers. But the truth is, yung initials kasi ng Care Bears is CB, matches her own initials. Her name is Carmel Blanco. If the name sounds familiar to some of you, it's probably because my sister, Carmel Blanco, She's now called Carmel Ladesa, or Maita Ladesa as we know her. She's the municipal doctor of Tampilisan, where JRMSU is. No? So I heard that there are two kinds of people in Tampilisan right now. The first kind of people are the people who appreciate what my sister's doing, and the other kind of people are the sisters who hate her guts because I heard that she's very strict with your COVID protocols. But that's her call. So basic news writing. JR, may I share my screen?
Sure, Ma'am Yen. You can share your
Okay,
screen.
sige. Okay. So, ang topic ko ngayon, no? As I said, it's basic news writing. So, when we say basic news writing, what's the most basic of the all basics of news writing? Alam na natin, alam kong alam nyo anong ibig sabihin ng news. I don't think there's any human being living in a civilized society now who does not know what news is. So, ano ba yung what skills does a person, does a student, does a professional need to have in order to be good at news writing? Tinatanong ko yan kasi ako meron akong personal na hugot. Remember when we were in grade school or high school and our teachers or our principals would choose kung sino yung magiging staff ng ating school paper? And I so wanted to be a journalist when I was in grade school and high school, but I wasn't chosen, especially in grade school. I felt that even in grade school, I was a good writer. So I felt that I could make a good reporter. But my teachers chose other people. I think they chose on the basis of magaling mag-Ingles, nasa honors list. So yun, no? So I think the reason why there is a lot of trouble with news writing and journalism is because people don't understand or people don't appreciate the concept of journalism. So ano yung kailangan mo para maging isang magaling na news writer? Is it good writing skills? Is it good analytical or good critical thinking skills? Is it the desire to serve the community? Is it a person who has a good sense of fairness and justice? Or is it somebody who has courage? After many, many years of teaching journalism and studying journalism, I now know this to be true. Yung pinaka-importante na skill na dapat meron ka, if you don't have it, then you have no right wanting to be a journalist, whether it's at school or as a professional. The most important skill that a person has to have in order to be a good journalist is a desire to serve the community. Doon kasi nanggagaling yon. Di baling hindi ka marunong mag-Ingles, di baling hindi ka marunong sumulat. Ang importante, meron kang desire to serve your community. Meron kang desire to serve your community because it doesn't make any sense. Anong gamit ng isang tao na magaling magsulat kung hindi niya naman alam kung ano yung dapat sinusulat ng isang journalist? Anong gamit ng isang tao na magaling mag-Ingles, no? Kung hindi niya alam kung anong isusulat or hindi niya alam kung anong point ng isang newspaper? Anong gamit ng isang tao na just at saka fair? Anong gamit ng isang taong magaling mag-analyze, magaling ang critical thinking skills kung hindi niya alam kung ano yung real point of a newspaper? At mas lalong walang kwenta or anong klaseng journalist, walang point kung matapang ka. Yung word na courage that you see here, kung matapang ka, mabangis ka, fearless ka, kung hindi mo alam kung ano yung point ng pagiging journalist. Tago na lang natin to sa pangalang mga tulfo. I say it. Because, sometimes you are driven by bravery or this sense of bravery, but you miss the point of journalism. So, Wala yon. So again, I'll just go back. Ang pinaka-importante to be a good journalist is a desire and the heart to serve the community. So yun yon. The writing skills can be learned later. The critical and analytical skills can be taught. What I'm trying to do this afternoon is to drive the point home to you that before we even start thinking about how to write a good story, we need to evaluate ourselves. Kailangan mong pag-isipan ng mabuti ang sarili mo at kung ano yung intention mo to become a news writer. I hope that everyone is here, that everyone wants to become good at news writing because everyone thinks that by being a good news writer, they can help improve their community. Yun lang yon. Napakasimple. The only point, again, no, I will repeat, the point of my talk this afternoon is to drive home the lesson that more important than learning how to write a news story is learning why you should be writing news stories. And the answer to that question is I write news stories because through my news stories, I am going to make my community a more intelligent community, a more educated community, a community that makes decisions based on verifiable information at hindi kung saan-saan lang pinagpupulot yung kanilang mga desisyon. So, that's that. I hope that's clear. Guys, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. You may raise your hand, I believe, or you may also just type your question. So, that is the most basic of all the basics of news writing. Now we go to, ano bang ibig sabihin ng news? Okay. Ano ibig sabihin ng news? Kasi susulat tayo ng news. Konting background lang. Sige, I have a question. Please feel free to answer sa chat. Ano ang ibig sabihin? Ano ang root words ng news writing? Okay. Kim and JR, is anybody answering in the chat? I can't see it.
Yes, Ma'am Yen, they say news.
All right. News is the root word. All right. Sige. Okay, that's enough, I guess, for now, no? So it's, yes, the root word is, sayang, ano, I wanted to do something, but I, low-tech si Lola. So I don't know how to view your chats. But thank you, JR. So, napakasimple lang. News, news actually is, hindi siya, it's not an old word. It's a fairly new word. And it came from Europe, as with most things, no, related to journalism. So, ang news actually is a plural form. Medyo obvious to, but news is the plural form of new. Kasi, ang definition ng news at the root of it all is that ano ang bago? So ano yung bagong development? Anong bagong nangyari? Ano ang bagong sinabi? Ano unsay bagong nahitabo? So causal pinaka resyente notisya. So ano yung latest? So yun yung importante, hindi siya history. History is another kind of study. News concerns itself with the now. Kaya siya news kasi rooted siya in the word new, which we all know. Kaya siya may S kasi plural siya. Usually kasi ang mga bagay sabay-sabay na nangyayari. Okay, so ano yung news? The root word is news. And if you will also see, news, the word news comes before the writing. Okay? So, mas importante yung news kaysa sa writing. Uulitin ko yan ha. I really don't like people to say, hindi ako pwedeng maging isang magaling na journalist kasi hindi ako marunong magsulat. Please erase that myth, that misconception from your mind because it's the farthest thing from the truth. Who said that you cannot be a good journalist if you're not good in the English language? Kaya nga no, dili pwede mag-journalist in Bisaya, hindi pwedeng mag-journalist in Chavacano. Pwede, di ba? The writing, the English skills is servant to the true meaning of journalism, which is, again, a desire to help your community. So, there are many definitions, but after many years of studying journalism and news, ito yung paborito kong definition of what a news is. It's this one. It's news is any new information about a current event that will impact the community. So it's any new information about a current event that will impact or affect the community. Po-point out ko lang ha, point out ko yung word na new. Please take note of that. Dapat bago siya. Okay, dapat bago siya. Number 2, dapat may kinalaman siya sa information. Anything, any idea, any concept na bagong nangyari. Impact or effect. So dapat may pakialam yung community. Kasi ano naman ang pakialam ng community kung wala siyang relevance sa kanila? So dapat relevant. Next, it must affect the community. Okay? It must affect the community. By the way, guys, when you're doing a newspaper, I know that there's going to be another speaker talking about how to manage a newspaper. And I think this will be taken up there. Before you publish a newspaper, everybody in that newspaper must be very aware of what their newspaper's goal is. Ano yung goal nyo? Ano yung pinaglalaban nyo? At saka, sino yung target audience ninyo? Whoever your target audience is your community. And whoever your community is the people that you're going to serve with your newspaper or newsletter. Okay? So I hope those basic things are going to be something that you'll keep with you. Newspaper nyo. For example, I see that this event is sponsored by the State Collegian. May I know, but I'd love to hear the answer. No, just I need somebody to speak up. If there's anybody who can speak up. Ano yung pinaglalaban ng State Collegian? Kung meron kayong newspaper na State Collegian, ano yung point? How will you consider yourself a success? What will you need to have accomplished in order to say, we are a very good campus paper? Can anybody among the editorial staff of the State Collegian enlighten the rest of us? Meron ba? Meron bang brave enough to speak on behalf of the team? Feel free to speak, ha? You may speak in English, of course, but you may also speak in Tagalog. I think Tagalog lang ano in English because we might have people who don't understand Chavacano or Bisaya or Tausug. But I am guessing that everybody will understand English and Tagalog. Meron kaya? Anybody? None? Pwedeng skip ko muna. I can come back to the State Collegian. What's the newspaper of ano? What's the newspaper of Wimsu nga? The Crimson ba yun? Kim? Miss Kim Kilat? Anyone? I don't have volunteers right now. Okay. Are we shy? Sige. Wala eh. Skip ko muna. How
Ma'am
about,
Yan,
yeah, go ahead.
there's an
JR.
answer in the chat box.
All right, sige.
Should I read it for you?
Yes, please. Di ko
It's all
mabiyang
about
chat eh.
It's all about delivering what truly happened and being a voice, especially to students na di kaya i-voice out yung mga insights nila. That's from State Collegian.
That's State Collegian. So,
Yes.
the voice of students, especially those who na hindi kayang i-voice out ang sarili nila.
Yeah.
And to record or to publish what really happens.
Yes, Ma'am Yan.
All right, sige. So, para
Kim
kayong
Kim is having trouble with her internet.
Ganun ba? Okay, sige. Anybody from JR, ano pa nga ang pangalan ng school paper ng university? Ng ng WIMSU? Crimson ba?
Wimsu, yeah, Crimson.
Anybody from Crimson editorial board who's present now? Or are we just we have mass comm students who are not with Crimson? Anyway, sige, it's okay. So we have the answer of state. Okay, si Kim is. We have the answer of somebody from State Collegian just gave an answer na they want to be the voice of the students, especially those who are unable to express themselves, and they want to be to publish things that really happened in JRMSU. Okay, probably almost all student papers have the same intention. Kaya I think, hindi ko pa rin alam, no, I have not yet confirmed why school papers are called organs. Pero feeling ko, yun rin isang dahilan. An organ kasi, it's, di ba, an organ is the servant of a big entity. So, para feeling ko, kaya tinatawag organ ng isang school paper, hindi dahil para tayong piano, kundi because we are an instrument of the entity, which is the student body. All right. So at least that's established. At least now I know that somebody in the State Collegian knows exactly what they need to do. So ang problem na lang natin sa State Collegian ngayon is to make sure that everybody in the editorial staff knows na yun yung goal ninyo, na yun yung purpose of being ninyo. Secondarily, everybody in JRMSU must understand kung ano yung point ng newspaper. Thirdly, the administration must understand kung ano yon, no? So not to politicize it or not to make insinuations, if I may use the word, no, but Kung yun talaga ang purpose ng the state collegian, that means to say, you are the voice of the students and you're not necessarily the voice of the university. Alam kong may issue yan from time to time when the university is a little bit conflicted on the attitude towards the newspaper. So like ang school paper, ano ba? Kanino bang pag-aari ang school paper? Pag-aari ba siya ng estudyante or pag-aari ba siya ng school? That's a very, very tough question to answer and we're not gonna tackle that right now kasi medyo madugo yun. It's feeling ko mas appropriate siya sa how to manage newspaper. That's something that can be taken up if May will take it up there. Maybe or binibigyan ko yata ng problema si May. But that's really more of an administrative problem. So, I'm going back to my topic, which is what is news. So, ngayon, kung babalik tayo sa information na yan, I mean sa definition na yan, it's any new information about a current event that will impact the community, dito tayo babalik sa good analytical skills. At saka desire to serve the community and sense of fairness. Aalamin nyo, ano yung mga topics ko? Before you write, you have to have the heart, as I said. The intention is to serve. After you have clarified that in your heart and in your mind, na ang intention ko is to serve, then you go to, all right, I want to serve by writing. So, next step, what do I write about? Ano yung topic ko? Your topic should adhere to the criteria. It must be a new information. It must be something that will affect your community. So ito, here at the bottom, you'll see, ano ibig sabihin ng mga topics? Sa WIMSU, sa loob ng WIMSU ngayon, ano yung mga topics na pwede nating pag-usapan that is new, that will affect the entire university? In what way? Kailangan alam rin natin yon. So, newsworthiness ang tawag doon. So, newsworthiness means a topic that's worth being written about in the newspaper. So, maraming newspapers, no? Pero across all cultures, pare-pareho yung interest nila, pare-pareho yung hinahanap nila sa news. So, it's anything that has a big impact. It's anything that has something to do with conflict. It can be conflict between the school and the local government. It can be conflict between two entities within the school. It can be students versus one teacher. It can be teachers versus a policy. So, conflict, masyado yung suki yung conflict ng mga newspapers. It must be something that happens nearby or what they call proximity. For example, something that happens in India, yung pagkalungkot-lungkot na story right now in India, it's important, but is it something that's relevant to your school right now? Kung hindi siya relevant sa school ninyo right now, then it's really not news for your community. Napaka-relative ng definition ng news ha. What's news for you is not necessarily news for other people. So, again, no, conflict, malaki ang impact. Tsunami, big impact yan. Sunog ng maraming bahay, big impact yan. Bagong batas, big impact yan. Nung all of a sudden nag-declare ang ating local government na MECQ na tayo, that's big impact. Something that happens nearby, something that involves well-known people. For example, nagka-COVID yung neighbor ninyo, baka hindi yan ma-news. Pag nagka-COVID yung mayor ng isang town, then that's news. Why is it news? Because the mayor plays a very important role in your community. Pag nagkasakit siya, ano nang mangyayari sa inyo? Yung neighbor ninyo, while he is a human being and therefore also very important, hindi naman relevant sa buong sambayanan ang kanyang pagkasakit. Okay? So yun yung ibig sabihin. It's something that deviates from the norm of everyday happening. So hindi siya normal. Therefore, newsworthy siya. Kagaya, itong cliche na o lagi nilang sinasabi, kapag ka ang aso, kinagat niya ang tao, hindi siya news. Pero kung may tao na kumagat ng aso, then that's news because that is a deviation from the normal. So, yun yung mga bagay-bagay na pwede ninyong i-write about. Okay, now I want an answer from everybody this time, ha? And I'm going to ask, again, with, sorry ha, JR at saka Kim, if you could help me. Again, I cannot see the chat. I'm going to ask everybody to write down one topic only that they feel is worth being written about for their newspaper at school. Okay? Just one topic, please. It can be a sentence or it can be a phrase. Wag lang paragraph, ha? Just sentence or a phrase.
Ma'am Yan, we also have viewers sa ating Facebook. Sa Facebook ng State Collegian. We have 31 33 viewers.
Then how many are our
Maybe
participants, Ryan? 39 plus 49?
49 plus 32. I cannot do the math.
That's 82.
Okay.
83. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Galing ah. Very nice. Very nice.
So maybe you can also include them.
Yes. How can they write doon sa Facebook? They can write in the comment or section. Sige. Sige. For hello to everybody who's watching us from, parang ako nagla-live selling, ano?
Yeah.
But hi everybody. Hi everybody to hi everyone who's watching us or listening to us sa Facebook. Welcome. For those who just joined, I'm Yen. Please call me Yen. Please feel free to ask question anytime. You may comment, but I really just need the help of Kim and JR and whoever else who can assist to read, because right now from my computer, low tech kasi ako eh. I cannot view the chat. So I'm going back to my question for both Facebook listeners and for Zoom listeners. I would like to ask you this question. Having listened to my description of what news is, what the purpose of your school paper is, I would like to know what topic is worthy of a news story in your school paper. I'll repeat, what topic is worthy of being written about in your school paper? Keeping in mind yung kasasabi ko lang about what's newsworthy. And also keeping in mind our definition of news. Okay? And we have, I'll give you 3 minutes to think and to type. Okay? You may type in whatever language you like. Please type in one sentence the topic or a short phrase.
We are still waiting for answers, Ma'am Yen. So far, wala pa.
All right. Wala pa. Sige, nag-iisip. You have 3 minutes to think and start typing.
We have an answer from Adsu JHS. No. Yeah. From Gabriel. Adsu JHS commences first virtual completion ceremony. That's his topic, Ma'am Yen.
Okay, first virtual commencement ceremony. All right. Sige. Parang completion ceremony. All right. Thank you, Gabriel. Yes, that's newsworthy. Okay? It's something that a lot of people would be interested about. Okay? And I think ang mangyayari niyan, if you tell the public about that, then it will send home the message na this is the new normal, yet another new normal for schools in this pandemic. Okay? Personally, I would love to read that kasi I would like to know paano nila ginawa. Okay, we'll wait for the others.
Another answer, Ma'am Yen, the deliberation of flexible learning system through the second semester. That's from Ria
The-
Lee,
Of what school?
unidentified.
Unidentified. Really? Okay, sige. Really, maraming salamat. If I understand it right, the deliberation about curriculum, was it curriculum or mode of
Flexible
teaching?
learning system.
Okay. Yes, I agree. And I would call that very newsworthy, actually. People would love to, nakasalala yung future natin dyan. So, it adheres to the definition na it will impact the community. Yes, in a big way. Is it new? Yes, if I understand it right, ongoing yung deliberation. Is it the current event? Yes, kasi nga ongoing yung deliberation. So, the two basic information, it's bago na information. Yes. It will affect the community. Yes. So, that's a yes. Very newsworthy. Others? Thank you for that.
From Crystal Orica, JRM's UTC plans a limited face-to-face class SY 2021-2022.
Right. Again, it's similar to the previous one. Mode of learning for the next semester. It's impacting the community, definitely, because all of us, even both teachers, the students will be affected by that. Right. Siguro, okay, go ahead.
From Rima Bakil, WIMSU updates about the possibility of face-to-face classes po.
All right. It's very similar to the two previous one. Great. Okay. Maybe we will have two more concepts for a new story. I would love to hear concepts that's not related, since we already had 3, I would love to hear concepts not related to mode of teaching in the next sem. Alam ko importante yan sa atin, pero if there could be other topics volunteered by others, I'd appreciate that.
Here, from Ateneo.
All right.
Add to students'
All
mental health wellness on online learning.
Right. Mental health and wellness. That's a great topic. Siguro medyo, if I may comment, it's kailangan lang i-refine siya. The general topic is great because it's something that interests me. Pero probably later on, as you do your research about the topic, it will need refinement. Like, sasabihin ba natin, something specific like, tumataas ba ang rate, ang instances of depressive conditions among students, or tumataas ba ang feedback ng mga teacher na a lot of students are saying that they're breaking down. So ano lang, medyo general lang right now, but yes, it's a yes. It's definitely newsworthy. So it's new information. Yun lang hanapin mo, yung new information. But in terms of it impacting the community, pasok sa banga. One last, please. One last possible topic.
Here. From I think this is Adzu. The resignation of our school principal, SJSFI. St. Joe. This is St. Joe.
The
Resignation of our school principal.
Okay. Parang may nararamdaman akong may malalim na story to, ano? But very interesting. Ako tuloy. So, if I'm interested, that means to say it's going to make, chismosa kasi ako eh. So, that's going to make a good story. Kasi di ba, nakaka-pick siya ng interest. Yes. it is. Is it important? Yes, because the principal is a very important person in your community. And is it new? I'm not sure. Bago lang ba nag-resign? So I'm just going to assume na bago lang siya nag-resign. But definitely yes. Now, thank you very much for those who volunteered their concepts for a new story. We appreciate them. And I'm happy to say that all of the 5 or 6 that we read, actually JR read, they're very newsworthy. Before I move on to the next topic, let me just say this, isa pa palang importanteng bagay sa atin, but it will come with time. It will come with time. But gusto ko na magtanim ng seeds as early as now. Yung mga topic na present natin, ngayon lang, yung 5 or 6 na present natin, if I may use the word no, please don't be offended. Medyo mga obvious siya na topic. It had something to do with how we're going to teach, because nga it's the pandemic and it's the new normal, the principal na nag-resign, and then the mental breakdown of students. So those are things that many of us will be interested in. However, if you want to become a good student journalist or a journalist, full stop, a good journalist, you need to be able to see beyond the obvious. Dapat i-train natin ang sarili natin na makakita ng mga issues na hindi ganun ka-obvious. Okay? For example, we are all affected by the pandemic. Sino mga obviously affected by the pandemic? Number 1, ang mga estudyante. Number 2, ang mga guro. Okay, obvious yun. For example, it could also be this. Kamusta kaya ang mga security guard natin sa mga schools natin during this pandemic? It would be so nice if one of us can make a news story na aside from, buti na lang nga yung mga guard, kasi kailangan natin ng guard lagi, di ba? I mean, because whether may estudyante or wala, we need security guards to make sure that the property of the university or your school is safe and secure. Eto, janitor. Alam niyo yun, di ba? If there are no classes, if students don't go to school, wala masyadong basura or kalat sa school. Kung wala masyadong basura and kalat, hindi masyado kailangan ng mga school ng janitor. Ano ang ginawa ng schools natin sa ating mga janitors? Where are they? Are they taken care of? May salary pa ba sila? Sinisweldohan pa rin ba sila ng school? Kaya pa ba ng school alagaan sila? So that's see beyond the obvious impact on teachers and students. Another thing that you can talk about, that you can explore with your school. Kamusta ang financial condition ng mga schools natin? Na ano ang difference? Dati, this is how our school earned its money, and this is how our school operated because people pay tuition, etc., etc. Ngayon sa panahon ng pandemic, kamusta kaya? Meron bang impact? Other things we need to talk about is kapag wala bang klase, tumataas ba? I know that this happened to a school in particular. Kasi wala masyadong klase, ilang beses nang nilooban yung kanilang school. I think because, since siguro paggabi, wala masyadong tao, etc., etc., pumapasok yung mga burglars. So these are the things that you need to think about, okay? For example, another would be, again, medyo obvious nga to kasi all of the examples I'm giving you, they're COVID-related. If you can think of other topics na hindi COVID-related, good. Ngayon lang talaga, mahirap maghanap ng topic na hindi COVID-related kasi because nga COVID pa rin, So, other things that you might talk about, you might write about is non-related to COVID, no? For example, anong pinagkakaabalahan ng mga estudyante kung hindi sila nag-online schooling? Okay, so that's an important thing that you can write about. Okay, so yun lang. I guess what I wanted to learn from my 5 minutes of discussion is that please train yourself to find stories beyond the obvious. Huwag yung masyado obvious. Huwag masyado obvious. I mean, you write about the obvious, yun, but you also write about things that people don't know about. So kumbaga, ikaw ang mag-i-introduce sa kanila ng topic. Dapat ikaw rin, isang journalist, dapat magpapatrending ka rin. You're not just going to reflect back to them what you know to be happening, but it also will be good if you can guide people to start thinking about things. Okay? So that's news. Now, then we go to the second main part of my my talk this afternoon, which is, therefore, now that I know what I should write about, now that I know ano yung purpose ko being a writer, then therefore, pwede na akong matuto kung paano ba talaga magsulat ng isang news story. Okay? The most important thing, which we just did earlier, is to identify the topic. Ano ba yung topic ko? Sa mga bagong news writer, sometimes ina-assign sa'yo yung story mo. So it's either the school advisor, the school paper advisor, or your editor-in-chief, or whoever else, yung mga senior sa staff, sasabihan ka na, hoy, ikaw, ito ang topic mo. So you write it. However, as I said earlier, in order for you to become a good member of your editorial team, maganda rin yon, matuto kang mag-identify ng topic. Tapos dapat i-defend mo siya. A good rule of thumb to follow is, kung meron kang topic na gustong isulat sa inyong newsletter, it should pass the mommy rule. Okay, lagi ko yung sinasabi ang mommy rule. The mommy rule is very simple. Kung may nangyari sa araw na to at it's something that struck you so much na gusto mong umuwi sa bahay para ikwento siya sa mami mo, or hindi lang mami, no? Sometimes, no, ikwento mo siya sa ate mo, ikwento mo siya sa best friend mo, then in all likelihood, it's news. For example, may dalawang babaeng nag-away sa harap ng campus gate ninyo and you wanna go home and tell your mom about it, then that probably is news. So, newsworthy yon. Hindi siya ganun kalaki, no? Hindi siya ganun ka-relevant, but it's still newsworthy na may nag-away, lalo na kung alam mo anong dahilan. So, it might have something to do with security. So, the mommy rule. Or another, aside from using the mommy rule on your own story, para mag-criteria ka, will it meet the mommy rule? Another is to ask yourself the question, anong pake ng mga readers? Why should the readers care? You have to be able to answer that question with a good answer in order for you to proceed with that story and in order for you to write a good story. So once you've identified your topic, ang tagal-tagal, no, bago magsulat ng news, ang dami pa palang prosesong kailangan pagdaanan. Pero ganun kasi yon. Do not, for those of you who are seniors in your school papers, and I know that you're going to train the new ones, please start the training with the core, which is, ano yung purpose ng paper natin? And then, ano yung gusto nating gawin to serve our community? And then, ano yung definition ng news? Huwag mag-umpisa sa anong grade mo sa English or anong grade mo sa composition. Because again, please do not equate good English writing skills with good journalism skills. It does not follow suit. Number 2, after mo na na-identify yung topic, is to gather the data that you need. Okay, so I know kanina yung topic was about mental health of students in this pandemic. So, question, if this is for everybody, and everybody please feel free to type in the chat boxes kung ano yung answer nyo. Kapag ka magagather tayo o paggagawa tayo ng story about the state of the mental health of students in this pandemic, ano-anong information ang dapat kukunin natin or sino-sino yung mga dapat i-interviewin natin? Okay. Please, you may start typing your answers now. Anong information ang kailangan natin? Sino-sino dapat interviewin natin? You may answer both questions or you may answer just any of the questions.
We have an answer, Ma'am Yen.
All right.
Maybe conducting a survey po regarding sa mental status ng students or interview the guidance counselor.
All right. Okay, so we can interview the guidance counselor. We can do a survey. Okay, that's actually great. Do a survey for ano. It doesn't have to be a formal scientific survey. An ordinary survey for the purpose of your story will suffice. Okay, so long as based on facts.
Another
Guys,
answer
go ahead.
from Jana. It depends po with the writer himself in which area or community po will he select in giving the news. It may be from college students, junior high school students, and etc. From Rima Bakil, as to the question, sinong i-interview? Students, parents. From Maritel Sigabon, those students who have experienced difficulties in online learning. Maybe she's referring to FLS, to flexible learning.
Right.
From Rialine, responses from students and the instructors upon dwelling with online or modular classes, including the pressure they get from submission deadlines.
Right. Okay, again, I love the answer that said, that recommended interviewing parents. Again, please look beyond the obvious. Kasi syempre, ang alam natin sagot, of course, interview tayo ng students, interview tayo ng teachers. Yes, those are the basics. But napakatalino lang ng sagot, interview natin ng parents. Why? Because the student, you know how it is with mental health, no? Students might not really tell, because they themselves are experiencing the mental health issues. So, alam nila kung ano nangyayari sa sarili nila, pero maganda rin kung talagang malalaman natin from the parents, because I guess next to ourselves, especially when we were students, no? For you who are still students, no one knows us as well as our parents. Kilala natin sarili natin. But sometimes kasi bulag tayo sa sarili natin. Our parents see us almost every day because of the lockdown. So mas mahaba yung panahon na nasa bahay tayo. So that's a very nice answer. Interview the parents. You napaka-interesting siguro ng magiging sagot ng parents. Okay? Who else? May iba pang sagot, JR?
So far, wala na po.
Wala na. Another good person, so I'll interview the guidance, yes. Teachers, yes. Students, yes. Parents, yes. But a great person to interview also would be a local expert, like a psychiatrist or a psychologist operating wherever you are. Kasi like I had a discussion recently with a psychiatrist, and hindi na natin babanggitin yung school, but sinabi niya na because of the pandemic, talagang tumaas ang request sa kanya for consultation. And then that the consultations led to the conclusion na tumataas ang cases of clinical depression sa Zamboanga City. And he directly connects it to the pandemic. Not necessarily the online learning, but to the pandemic itself, the entirety of the pandemic. So yun. So you gather the data. Aside from interviewing people and talking to people and gathering data, you can look at other news stories. You can look at other resources to add color to your story. So once you have the data, which is number 2, you're now ready to proceed to, hindi ka pa magsusulat. Baka excited na kayo na after identifying the topic, after gathering the data, huwag ka munang magsulat. Look at your notes, look at your information, and then analyze the story. You may go back to this. Bumalik ka sa core. How can I serve my community with this story that I'm about to write? Ano yung intention nyo? Do you want your story to serve as a warning to students and teachers and the school administration? Do you want to give everybody, all the reader, an idea of what they can do if a student is having mental health issues? So, paano mo? Susulat ka ng story. Babalik tayo Susulat ka ng story because your story will serve your community. So go back to this. Go back to this, and then that is the filter. This is the filter which you will use to analyze the story. Okay? So, ano yung importante sa story ko to? What dapat alam mo, before you start writing, dapat meron ka ng agenda. So, dapat yung story mo may goal. Grabe story lang may goal. But it's true. You have to know what you want people to do, what you want people to feel, what you want people to think while they're reading your story and after they read your story. So dapat ganun siya. So you want them to be able to, before you write habang nag-a-analyze ka pa lang, before you start writing, you can write notes, but don't write your story yet. While you're thinking and while you're studying your notes, kailangan alam mo, ano ba yung goal ng story ko? After they read the story, what do I want people to do? After they read the story, what do I want people to think? After they read their story, how do I want people to behave? Kung wala kang ganyan, then your story, how will you know if your story is successful if you don't even know what the goal of your story is? Again uulitin ko. Please have a goal for your story. What do you want people to think? What do you want people to do? How do you want people to act? How do you want people to behave after they've read your story? You write it with a goal so that you will know if you're a successful writer or not, a successful journalist or not. If after your story is published, you will try to see whether people are doing what you wanted them to do after they've read the story. Kung ginawa nila yung intention mo, then successful yung story mo. It's not, I hope people are not here para makita lang yung pangalan nila sa newspaper nila. No. Again, uulit-ulitin ko hanggang mabingi kayo. Your newspaper is there to serve the community. Your story is there because you want to serve the community. Anything other than that, you really cannot call it journalism. Next, after that's number 3. This is supposed to be number 4. So, okay, sulat ko. Number 4, you've analyzed your story, you've determined what your goal is. Now it's now the time to organize your story. Organize your story this way. Ano yung pinaka-importante? Okay? Kung ikakwento ko to sa nanay ko, ano yung una kong sasabihin? Okay? More important than the language skills is your analytical skills. So, ulitin ko yan rin. So, organize your story. Start with the most important information. That's number 1. And number 2, you have to write it in such a way that it will grab readers' attention. Number 1, write what's most important first. Number 2, write it in such a way that you will grab the reader's attention. Kasi otherwise, sayang naman yung pinaghirapan mo na data gathering, analysis, identification of topic, organization of the story, kung hindi naman nila papansinin kasi medyo boring yung pagkasulat mo ng iyong story. Okay? So, other things that you need to remember after number 4 is, of course, you are now going to do number 5, which is writing the story. So, yung writing the story, nakikita nyo, although ang title ng ating topic ay Basic News Writing, ang dami pa nating dinaanan bago tayo mag-write the story. When you write the story, simple lang. Maiksi lang to. Napakasimple ang sumulat ng isang news story. It's the simplest thing. Number 1, the news story is the heart and soul of the newspaper. Ang isang newspaper, meron ako nakikita mga school paper na ganito ha. Puno siya ng poems. Puno siya ng short stories. Puno siya ng games. Puno siya ng pictures na pa-survey, for example. Pero halos wala siyang news. I don't think newspapers like that deserve to fall under the category of journalism. I think it's more of literature rather than journalism. Journalism is really about stories that people can use to make important decisions about their lives. So yun, if it's not making important decisions about your life or about something you're interested in, then it's not journalism, no? So, on writing the story, number one, keep it short. Maiksi lang. Kasi nga, the concept is, sobra siyang importante, kailangan mabasa ng mga tao kaagad. Kung kailangan mabasa ng mga tao kaagad, edi syempre iksian natin. So we keep it short. Anong ibig sabihin ng we keep it short? It means, kung papipiliin ka between a long word and a short word, choose the short words. Okay? Kung sasabihin mo, said versus explain, ano ang pipiliin natin? Said, diba? If papipiliin tayo ng tour versus travel, pipiliin natin yung word na tour, etc. etc. So, piliin mo yung maiksi na word at wag yung mahahabang words. Short sentences. You add long sentences from time to time kasi ang sobrang boring talaga kapag puro short sentences. Pero, as much as possible, mas maraming short sentences kaysa sa long sentences. Kaso nga lang, pag puro short sentences, para siyang telegrama. Okay. Para siyang si Barok or si Yoda kung magsalita. And then, it should also be short paragraph. Keep your stories short, short, and short. Next, related to that, go direct to the point. Dumiretso na. Balikan ko lang, malamang alam nyo na to, the 5 W's and the 1 H. yung 5 what, why, where, when, who, at saka how. So yun yung mga information na kailangan mong i-assemble when you're organizing the story. Dumiretso ka. Paano ka didiretso? Paano mo malalaman kung ano yung point mo? You know what your point is because you did the process correctly. You began with identifying the topic, gathering the data, and analyzing the story and organizing the story. If you did this, then you can go direct to the point. Kung hindi malinaw sa iyo ang mga to, diyan yan nangyayari. Diyan ang gagaling yung mga pasikot-sikot. Yung hindi mo alam kung ano yung direction mo, yan yung mga nag-e-end up in long stories. Okay? So, lastly, remember the goal. Inform, educate, influence, entertain the public. Yun yung mga goals natin as journalism. Uulitin ko ha. You inform the public, educate the public, influence, entertain the public. If you do that, then you have accomplished your goal as a writer. It is about them, not about you. So hindi siya, writing a story is not an opportunity for you to showcase the many long words that you know, how good your English language skills are, or how fancy your diction is. You are not the star of your story. The journalist and the journalism profession is for people who like to fade into the background. Nagdududa ako sa mga journalist na medyo pasikat because in my observation, the best journalists are really those that don't call attention to themselves. Kasi pag napapansin ka, people are guarded. Binabantayan ng mga tao sasabihin nila, binabantayan ng mga tao ang gagawin nila. So, the best journalists, the one who are able to gather the most significant information, are the ones who fade into the background, if I may use the term. So, again, hindi ikaw ang star ng story. Ang story ang star ng story. You are also not the beneficiary of the story. Hindi ikaw ang magbe-benefit. Ang reader dapat magbe-benefit. Okay? So, let me just, it's no longer part of the, okay. It's no longer part, but let me just go through this quickly kung paano magsulat. Okay? Just basic tips. I hope you can write this down for those who are listening. Paano ba talaga magsulat? Tinuruan ko kayo kung paano kayo mag-isip dapat para makasulat kayo ng maganda. But the actual writing is very simple. Aside from these things, yung sinabi ko, use short paragraph, use short sentences, and use your short paragraph. Make the story short. Number 1, how do I stop writing the story? Paano ko malalaman kung paano ko i-end yung story? Lagi yung tinatanong sa akin, Ma'am Yen, paano ko i-end yung story ko? How do I end my story? Alam nyo, sa journalism, hindi kasi yan siya kagaya sa mga essay writing natin, sa mga oratorical pieces natin, mga writing a speech, ganyan. Hindi ganon. Napakasimple lang sa journalism and sa news writing kung paano mag-stop. Hindi siya kagaya sa literature na dapat i-conclude mo, dapat dramatic, dapat bumalik ka sa beginning, dapat i-connect mo ang beginning sa ending. Walang ganyan sa journalism. Sa journalism, napakasimple ng ending. Kung wala ka nang sasabihin, tumigil ka na. Simple lang. If you have nothing more to say, then stop. Period. Submit it. After you edit it, read it, proofread it, submit. Ganun lang. Wala nang drama, kiame na kailangan i-go back to the beginning, i-connect sa beginning, dapat dramatic. Walang ganun. If you have nothing to say, stop. Ano yung mga information na dapat isama mo sa iyong news story? Yung 5 Ws at 1 H. Yun lang. Napakasimple. If you really come to think about it, a news story can be written by a grade 6 students. Ganong klaseng English levels lang ang kailangan natin. However, the older you get, the better you become at analysis and critical thinking, and therefore, What's going to improve, aside from your writing skills as you grow older, is your analytical skills. So, in that way, I am expecting that college level students will be better at writing than high school students, and high school students will be better at writing than grade school students. Mainly because college students have seen more of this world, are exposed to more things, and have access to greater things. May mga things na pwedeng ma-access ang isang 18-year-old na tao na hindi naman pwedeng i-access ng isang 12-year-old na tao. So yun lang yung expectation ko. Unfair ba yung expectation ko na mas malaki yung ini-expect ko from university students? Not. I think because I just expect university students to be more mature and to have better logic processes than their younger counterparts. So how to end? Access is important, and then keep it short. Use simple sentences. Your story should be understood by high school students, so avoid using too complicated words. And again, go back to gaano kahaba dapat ang news story. To me, sobrang iksi naman ng 3. For me, if you ask me, the shortest news story is somewhere around 5, 6 paragraphs. That to me, nasabi mo na yun lahat. Depende na rin yan sa abilidad mo to be able to express yourself in as few words as possible. What's the most important thing to start with? Is it the why, the who, the where? It depends on your story. If babalik ako dun sa task no na nagka-COVID yung mayor nyo, then of course, the most important information to put in your lead paragraph or your beginning paragraph is, guys, ang mayor nagkasakit. You know what? To make it easy for you to start the story, when you're writing the story, pretend as if you're just making kwento to your classmate. Kung ano yung progression ng information mo, kung ano yung sequence, ano yung unang sasabihin, pangalawang sasabihin, pangatlong sasabihin, sa mga kaibigan, sa parents, at saka sa mga kapatid natin, then yun rin yung gamitin mo when you're writing it for the paper. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for listening to my talk. I hope that you're able to learn things from the things I said, which is based on what I have learned in my years of teaching and doing journalism. I'd like to turn over, because I think we have some time for questions and I might be able to answer them. So I'm going to turn over the floor to JR and Kim.
Oh, thank you, Ma'am Yen. Kim is not around already.
Oh, again.
She's
All
having
right.
problems with her internet connection.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we are open for questions. If you have questions, feel free to unmute your microphone, or you can use the chat box. Like questions. Wala, pagka-passive ba kayo sa itong mga participants karong hapon na, oy? Also, please turn on your microphone, your camera, so we can see you, so we can take a gallery picture. Kindly turn on your cameras, please. At least we are seeing faces now. If you have questions, please feel free to unmute your microphone so you can directly ask Ma'am Yen, or you can comment or use the chat box. Sige, I'll take a picture. Is it okay? And is it okay if we'll post the picture sa official page ng State Collegian? Is it okay? 1, 2, 3. Questions? Ma'am Yan, wala sila questions. Klaro dagway kaayo yung explanation. We have senior high and junior high participants from Zamboanga City. We also have college students, both JRMSU and WIMSU. Hello, wala dyan sila questions, Ma'am Yan. While waiting for their questions, allow me to thank Ma'am Yen. Ma'am Yen, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, for accepting the invitation to be our resource speaker for basic journalism. We planned this for a long time na, pero because of some limitations, some challenges that we faced, medyo nadugay ang atong webinar, but thank you for accepting the invitation. We learned a lot from this afternoon's discussion. Gimingaw ko, I missed our classes at the Ateneo sa RTV, no. Hala, I'm buying time for their questions. Wala dyan kasi wala tong questions, Ma'am Yan. Maybe, well, Ma'am Yan, you are on mute. Maybe you have...
Somebody is raising her hand. Somebody...
Yeah. Ma'am Sylvie is raising her hand.
I will ask the question for in behalf of those who wouldn't want.
Be the voice of the voiceless.
Hello.
Hi, Ma'am Yen. Okay, I would like to ask lang, Ma'am Yen, especially now, no, because basic join goes beyond just writing in our papers,
Right.
especially that we are
Right.
not anymore in school, and our
Right.
platform is our internet, online, and all. Do you think that there is so much difference when you write online and vis-a-vis writing in print? So perhaps we can also do an inventory of the differences of how we write in print, the one that we hold on to, and the ones that we put out online, where there's a lot of people in terms of circulation, no, that can really, the reach and the breadth of our articles can reach, multitudes of people compared to those who just have our newspapers in print. Perhaps for that, para they will also understand the responsibility now in writing and in shifting platforms.
Right. Right. Salamat, Sylvie. A very, very relevant question. Thanks for bringing it up, no. Mahirap ang buhay ngayon. Actually, if you saw the slide I shared earlier, may isa akong nilagay doon na news versus analysis. And that actually is, I was thinking of including a discussion on that during my talk, no. Ano yung relevance ng isang school paper ngayon when a lot of people already get their news from Facebook? Diba? So, like for example, paminsan-minsan, yung mga tao, nauuna pa kaysa sa journalist na nakakaalam ng isang information. Diba? So parang, like for example, hindi pa alam ng mga journalist na sa Zamboanga City na may 2,093 COVID positive sa Zamboanga City, alam na natin. Bakit natin alam? Kasi binomonitor, alam na ng ordinary na tao. Alam na nila, nagre-react na nga sila kung ano-ano nang kino-comment, di ba? If you look at the announcement of the mayor's office, you will see dagsaan ng mga tao doon for their comments. So, hindi pa nare-report ni media, hindi pa nare-report ni RMN, hindi pa na isusulat ni Dateline Zamboanga. Mamaya pa kasi ang Dateline Zamboanga, mamayang gabi pa sila mag-air. Ngayong umaga, alam na ng buong Zamboanga. So, you tend to ask yourself, may gamit pa ba tayong journalists? People can just easily get their information from online. So that's the shift right now, Sylvie, no? And to the others who might want to know. There is a shift right now, two things lang. There is a shift right now from creating news, now who, what, why, where, when, to
Mhm.
creating an analysis of the news.
It's
So
true.
ibig sabihin, mas malaki na nga eh. Mas complicated na yung demand sa journalist right now.
True.
Dati, ang demand sa ating mga journalists is just, give us the information. Kasi wala pang Facebook dati. So ibig sabihin, kumbaga, exclusive sa mga journalists ang magbigay ng information sa mga tao. But that's no longer true right now.
Mhm.
I can go directly to the website of Malacanang. I can go directly to the Facebook page of Malacanang, to the Twitter page of Malacanang, of DOH, of CDC, of WHO, of Mayor Beng's office, of the Tampilisan RHU, of the Tampilisan Municipal Mayor's page. Pwede akong dumiretso doon.
True.
Primary source pa.
Mhm.
So ano nang gamit natin ngayon? Ang gamit ng journalist, according to a lot of pundits, a lot of experts, ang gamit ng journalist, mas demanding na ngayon.
Mhm.
Mas malaki na requirement sa atin. We are now expected to chew those information and make intelligent analysis and disseminate the analysis to people. Medyo challenging eh. Kasi right now, we're just learning about basic news writing. So, I chose not to discuss that at all. If you will see, hindi na ako nag-tackle sa issue or nakita mo siya sa aking subtopics kanina because I felt na since the topic that I delivered this afternoon is just about basic news writing, doon na muna tayo, baby steps. Kasi once we know how to write a story, then therefore, to me, the natural progression is that we will learn how to make good analysis if we know the basics of news writing. Pero yun yung challenge. Also, to school paper advisors now, I've discussed this with some school paper advisors when they ask me, I really advise, like I know the State Collegian has a Facebook page. I don't know if you have Twitter, but it does not matter. No? Depende yan kung nasan yung audience natin. Bakit tayo magti-Twitter at Instagram kung wala naman ang audience natin doon? If they're in Facebook, then we will be in Facebook, di ba? Ug-asa sila, then tuata. Kasi what's the point, no? What's the point? So we go where they are. In terms of Facebook or print, sa Facebook, if I type it now, I click post. Within the second, I broadcast it. Kung magprint pa ko, ako pang i-edit, mag-layout pa ko sa papel, then, it takes a long time. Wa pa ko kaporma, kabalo na silang tanan. Diba? So, hindi pa ako nakaporma, hindi pa ako naka-layout, lalo na pag hindi pa kagang-kagang ang computer ko, hindi siya sophisticated, hindi ako magaling na layout artist. Those are the things that tend to slow down print news writing. But there is no excuse for newspapers of schools not to have a Facebook page. Actually, matagal ng trend yan, di ba? All school papers have their own social media page, and that's where you post. The trick for some, kagaya rin ng newspaper, ganun rin sila. They have a Facebook page, but they don't post the entire story there. More snippets lang. Because what you want to do is you want to encourage people. Actually, that's a thin line, no? Number one, you want them to become aware of information. Number two, you really, really, really want them to read the long story because you don't want people making decisions, making important judgments out of 140 Twitter message. Hindi ka, like for example, who should we vote as our next president of the republic? Parang hirap naman if I make that decision based on the 140 characters of a Twitter post. What I would like people to do is, guys, basahin nyo naman tong mahaba-habang story ko on how to choose the best next president for the Philippines. Yung mga ganon. So that's my longish answer to your question, Silves. I hope that I did answer your question.
Thank you, Ma'am Yen. I think ang key really is parang providing an analysis of what you are writing, and more. I think that's the very core of what Ma'am Yen has discussed. So I already spoke in behalf of the children of the Republic. Baka the children of the Republic can also ask questions. Thank you, Ma'am Yen. Thank you, Sir JR.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sylvie.
Ma'am Silves. We are still open for questions, please. If you need to clarify some things, Ma'am Yen
Yeah.
is very willing to answer your questions. Murag wala na dagway sila yung questions, Ma'am
Yeah.
Yen. Sige.
All
Uh,
right.
Okay, since there are no more questions, maybe we can end here. Once again, thank you, Ma'am Yen, for accepting our invitation to be with us this afternoon, to be our resource speaker. We have learned a lot from you. Hopefully, thank you also for our participants. Thank you for joining us, for being with us this afternoon. Hopefully, you can join us tomorrow and for the rest of the webinar series. Our schedule for tomorrow is at 9 a.m. So it's quite early. So I guess that will be all. Ma'am Yan, you want to say something
Thank you
before
very
we
much.
dismiss the class?
Yeah.
Before we
So,
dismiss the class?
yeah. Thank you, guys. I have not taught the class in a very long time. I work in a hospital now. So, this is a refreshing change of uh, phase, no? So thank you, JR, for setting this up. I think it's a great concept. Congratulations. I hope that the entire series will be successful. Good luck to all attendees in your own journeys as campus journalists. I hope that um, you will not hesitate to ask me questions. You can find me on Facebook. I might not be able to answer them right away, but you can find me on Facebook. Ang handle ko is Yen Blanco Delgado sa Facebook. So just look me up, send me a message. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can and as best I can. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who attended. And I hope that everyone stays safe. Things are bad COVID-wise in Zamboanga City.
Modeng wala sila nag-ask ng question, Ma'am Yan, kasi all clear daw sa Facebook. Yeah. All clear daw. Sige. Thank you. I'll end this na ha. Thank you and
Thank
hopefully
you.
we'll see each other again tomorrow. Thank you.